Sure.
Today, I'm conducting an interview as part of a research study aimed at providing insights and recommendations for delivering quality education to students from diverse backgrounds. Specifically, I'm interested in hearing from an individual who identify within the LGBTQ spectrum and have been educated in the USA K-12 school system. So his experience will contribute to an ethnographic case study offering an insider's perspective on the challenges and opportunities within the education system. To my respondent, your privacy is paramount and all information shared during the interview will be kept confidential. We will not use your real name. Instead, I'll refer to you as Juan de la Cruz for confidentiality purposes. Only I will have access to your responses and they will be anonymized and analyzed collectively. And this interview will be conducted in an informal and conversational manner, allowing you to share your thoughts and experiences openly. And this interview typically will last 30 minutes. Is that all right with you?
Sure thing, no problem.
Okay, and if you wish to reach out to me later or continue our discussion, you can contact me through Messenger. Lastly, I'd like to ask for your permission to record this interview for accuracy and reference purposes. Is that acceptable to you?
Not a problem.
All right, so let's start. Can you please tell me a bit about yourself, your background, and what you're doing now? And do include your journey through K-12 education system in the USA.
First, my name is Juan de la Cruz. I've been a member of the LGBTQ community a while back, and I have moved to the US in the 11th grade. I transitioned to study in the US as it was more, or as I view it, it is much more economical, and at the same time, I have a strong belief that I will be having a great more opportunities. Currently, I'm working on as a supervisor in a tech startup. So that's where I am at as of the moment.
Great. How would you describe your sexual identity and the process of coming to terms with it during your time in school?
Well, it's something that at first, of course, when you were in school, you tend to be as honest as possible, but at the same time, you have to also ensure that you are taking care or you're thinking of what others would think. As a student, you wanted to have a peaceful environment wherein you could be interactive as much as possible with the people around you, especially on a educational environment. Um, it is something that is very, how can I say this, strategic in a way, as well as something that is a little bit uncomfortable because you have to, or the school population is very diverse. In anywhere we would go, it would be diverse, but the intensity of things are much more heated, especially in school, because you're dealing with individuals who doesn't really have this broad thinking about things, how they view things, and they most often would stereotype you on based on who you were and your identity rather than what you can offer to the table.
Uh, would you say that you have been comfortably openly expressing your sexual orientation in the school environment, or it was not a very comfortable experience? What are the challenges or barriers that you faced?
Uh, it was. I'm not saying that it was really comfortable, nor I'm not saying that it was uncomfortable at all. Um, let's put it in a way that it was a neutral thing for me because number one, there are a lot of people who would appreciate you and what you do best, what you excel best, what your talents are, what you can bring to the table. Whereas you could also experience a different kind of, stereotyping, such as, oh, you can do this because your sexual orientation is this, or maybe the reason why you're joining this, it is because of various factors, something that uh, others can't even think of, or or most of the time, people will sexualize what you think, or sometimes people will attack you because of, or through verbal cues, or through comments, because they think that because you are on this orientation, this is what your purpose is. Whereas also, there would be a side of things wherein they appreciated you for being who you were and being true to who you were, and most likely showing or appreciating what you can offer, or what are the things that you can showcase of in terms of academics and in learning environments.
Compare your experiences in Philippine high school and high school in the US when it comes to your sexual orientation.
Oh, I mean, in the US, it's just a little bit more lax compared to your experience, or to my experience while I was in the Philippines, because as we all know, Philippines is a Catholic country. It is a very how can I say this?
Strict?
Strict. Also, they are conservative in a way that their mindset is bounded by faith per se. They don't really look onto what or who you were, what your intentions are, but more of you are being judged because when they saw that you are someone who is part of the LGBTQ spectrum, you are a sinner. Therefore, you cannot do great things, or you cannot do things that others can because it's your gender preference, or you are not fitted to do this job, or to talk to these people, or to wear this, to wear that, to say what you want, because that is your chosen, not really chosen, but that is your gender identity. Whereas in the US, it's a little bit more balanced. Although there are still points that covers some of the experiences that I had with the Philippines, is pretty much the same. But it is a little bit more lax per se, because it was a little bit accepting. People are more diverse in a say, and at the same time, they are very much aware about inclusivity. That's how can I position it in a way. Whereas in the Philippines, growing up and learning school there, I remember this one instance that someone had told me. It was a sports class wherein we are being taught martial arts, and the martial arts that I chose was arnis. It's a stick battle um, sport. Whereas one of my classmates actually did tell me that, oh, why are you joining arnis? You should be joining um, the baking club, because you're not fitted here, because your preference is this. And I was like, is it really a measurement of what should I do? Because I really wanted to explore this. There was one instance as well that um, during my during my early high school days in the Philippines, there was two classes wherein you are being taught. It's either we call it technical and livelihood program. It's either you are being taught, you have to choose. It's either cooking or carpentry or sewing. Of course, I enrolled all of the guys in birth, or all of the males at birth, are normally being assigned to carpentry, because that's where, well, and it was okay with me, because I see carpentry as a low gender job. But then
Right.
again, when I got to the class, my instructor told me that, oh, why are you here? Do you think you could carry this? Do you think this is something that you would want to do? Don't Won't you want to choose the sewing class or the cooking class because I think you're much appropriate there? Whereas in the US, you're free to choose whatever you wanted to explore and what are the things that you're interested in without really questioning who you were, and it's not being stereotyped based on your gender identification.
So in the US, their thinking is more advanced when it comes to this kind of thing. So did you encounter instances of bullying, discrimination, or harassment? Although you kind of delved into that a little bit already, the stereotyping stuff, but based on your sexual orientation. And how did you handle
It's
these situations?
actually I cannot say no. To that, it's always and it's evident in every location that you have. I'd say it doesn't really matter on where you are located. Um, but the thing is, the assuring thing was there are people who understands. There are people who would willing to be your ally on this. There are a lot of scenarios that I've experienced that something that still reminds you of how nasty things would be. It could be, but then again, the assuring part there is that there are people who are willing to know you and to defend you in such instances in any other ways.
Yeah, so how did you handle these situations?
Well, to my case, of course, I have to speak up. That's the first thing.
That's good.
Some of
That's good.
some people won't. Some people won't like speak up about it. They'll just say it's okay. Or some people would say, especially if you are new to the location, you would just say it's okay because you don't want to get in trouble. Especially you're not on your comfort zone. But basing it on what I would normally do, I would really speak up. But there is always a boundary on how I would speak up. I would always speak up to anything. Like I would call it out. And if I cannot deal with it anymore, let's say I can no longer carry it on by just speaking up, I would raise it to someone who can, because I think that's the appropriate thing to do.
That's good. Were there any supportive resources or individuals within the school community, such as teachers, counselors, or LGBTQ advocacy groups who provided assistance or guidance to you during difficult times?
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of people who reached out to me as well. Teachers, they're very understanding in a way. As well as counselors, someone who you could, run into in case. There are also groups that you can join with, wherein you can just share your experience and you have one thing in common. That's the assuring part, because you have these diverse people that you can talk to and you can just really say what you wanted. And you know for a fact that they understand you because they have gone through that path as well.
How did the presence of these support systems impact your overall school experience?
It impacted a lot because it boosted the confidence that you would have um, while you were there. You will never feel like you were alone or you are left behind. At the same time, it's always good to know that there is someone who's willing to be with you throughout the journey, and that made things easier because to it's always hard to deal with things if you feel like you're alone or you're the only one going through that.
Um, I know for a fact that there are no bullying policies in schools all over the US, but in your opinion, what additional measures could schools take to create a more inclusive and supportive environment for LGBTQ individuals?
I think that it should start with the people who are running the institution. They should display first what is needed, because I'd say that everything falls into place, or everything would run smoothly if it is being seen, being done from top to bottom. Um, it is would be much more easier, rather than, we can simply say that no bullying allowed, you can do this and that, but you will never know behind the four doors or the four corners. You wouldn't really know. Bullying can go in any types. It could be in written, verbal, physical,
Online.
online, yes. But I think if those people who are running the institution be an example and show that compassion that others need, especially those who needs them, I don't. I would say that the people around it will also follow the suit. It's not really. Or also, I'd say that what would help more is to encourage people that it's okay not to be. It's okay to disagree, but then again, what matters is we do have that respect that others need. Like a simple respect for one another would make things different.
Right, right. It will make a whole lot of difference. With regards to peer relationships, how did your peers generally responded to your sexual orientation? Did you find acceptance or face challenges forming friendships and relationships?
Well, with friends, of course, I'm a. Someone had said this. I'm a sunflower. So whenever I enter the room lights up, because I'm as goofy as it can be.
You bloom.
I find it easier. Yes, I find it easier to blend in. It's something that is a normal thing for me. And I think what made it easier, it is because what I have in mind is that if people won't adjust for you, you have to adjust for them, and they'll do the same for you. So if they saw that you really took the chance or took the time to adjust and blend in with them and to know them more, they'll also come to you and know you more. And that's where you would come. That's where you would have this agreement. That's where you would have this understanding. What other people or someone, or I'm not saying in general perspective, but I have encountered some of my friends who have been on the same who has the same orientation as I. They would always say that people should adjust with me or should accept me for who I was. It's not always the case. It's People should accept who you were, and you should accept them as well. It's more of you balancing the difference between the two, and looking into what are the common things that you can dwell with. For example, I have a friend, or I have this schoolmate who really, he hates people who are part of LGBTQ.
Really?
That's for sure. But then again, when the first time that we had a conversation was through a class, through a project per se, and we were working on this schoolwork, and then I got that we have the common interest with history. We do have this common interest with documentaries, and I started the conversation there. And when I asked him, of course we became friends. When I asked him, you're really not into making friends with people on my spectrum, but why? Like why did you decide to still connect with me and do things or do stuff with me and tell me stories and such? What he said was he doesn't like them because sometimes the action that was being done is something that he doesn't like.
Uh-huh.
But in my case, what I did was I approached him like I was no different. Like I was different from any one of them. I did not focus on anything else. I focused on getting to know more the person and connect with him, and then fade it within that connection. I think people as well are fearful of, especially if you consider yourself as gay, and then you're reaching out to a guy. They would think of different things, right? They would think of, you sexualizing them. The reason is the
They put
reason why you're reaching
malice.
out to them. Yes, but then again, to my point of view, I don't see people like that. I would connect with whatever common things we have, and we'll start from there. It's not really like you are proving to them that they are correct on their impression.
Okay, that's very good. How did your experience with your sexual orientation affect your academic performance and overall engagement in school? As we talk
Well,
about academic performance.
I don't see it. I don't see it that way because I don't see it that way because it's really pointing to what you can or what you deliver, or really more of you are being measured of what you can do rather than your identity itself. That's based on what we have right now.
Okay. Moving to the USA in 11th grade must have presented unique challenges. Can you share how this transition impacted your educational experience and sense of identity?
Sorry, what was the question again?
When you moved to the USA in 11th grade, that must have presented unique challenges. Can you share how this transition impacted your educational experience and sense of identity?
Well, of course, you relocated to that location, but it's not your country, and at the same time you're different from others. You have a different orientation, no? And you don't speak their language accurately, so um, so it doesn't really point out like how would you blend in. Of course, you would not adjust only with who you were, but you also have to adjust with the culture of the people. So I think what made it with the transition is that I have to learn the culture of the people around me and looking into how can I connect with them. That would make things easier in a way because you know how to connect with people. That's important. And then when people saw that you're trying to connect with them, it would be something that they appreciate with, especially if you try to initiate a conversation wherein they're very much interested with, you'll find it easier to connect with these, and that made things easier for the transition and with my overall experience.
Based on your experiences, what recommendations would you offer to educators and policymakers to better support LGBTQ students in K to 12 schools?
I think they should be proactive on knowing these people. That's it. They should be proactive on knowing these people. Take time to know them, because what happens is this is based on the comparison between in the Philippines and in the U.S. Some members of the LGBTQ community would address themselves as with pronouns, and it was not being used. It was not being used at all. I think it starts from there, and it shows respect. It shows how you would want to understand or to be understood as well as a person. This is an experience of a friend. She was already a transgendered woman, and she addressed herself as a female already, but he is naturally male. But he hates it when people call him Mister or he as a pronoun
Okay.
for her. And one thing that she was sharing, that it would be best if they try to look into your preferences and deal with you with such preferences. That way, it would be comfortable. So I think that's where we should start.
Okay. Respect for
Correct.
for for each other. Um How did all these experiences play a role in your success in your current career?
Well, working in a tech startup, I would see a lot of diverse people, not only with people who are part of LGBTQ, but also different nationalities, different cultures, different personalities, different perspectives, different minds, different ideas, and such. Dealing with those, I think, gave me that idea that everybody is unique in their own ways and in their own great talents. That's what's gonna make it different. And I think you should know your capabilities as a person, and you should try to understand what they can bring to the table as well. What are the things that what is unique about them, and how could you use this uniqueness into your favor in order for you to fulfill what you wanted to achieve. So, on my perspective, I used my perkiness and who I was, and being able to communicate well with people, and someone who is really outgoing and really being proactive on telling who I was and what I can do. I use that on my advantage to reach out to more people. That way, people would understand me better, and at the same time, it could accomplish the job and the needed task further.
I like the word perkiness when it came to describing yourself. As a conclusion, what insights can you share with us with regards to how we can better accept you, or how can the educational system be better fitted for you, or whatever insight you can share with us? You have three
I think
minutes.
I think people should be more open for any other, not only with any other preferences, but also ideas. Um, and other learnings as well, because no one can will know what the others knew, or no one will be able to know what the other is experiencing. So I think the best way in order for us to accomplish these things is to get that understanding of why these people act the way they do, why these people act the way they act, and try to learn how to accept them, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to deal with life. We have our own goals, different and separate goals. We have different outlooks in life. We have differences in our perspectives and such. But what matters is on how we accept diversity and inclusivity to everything. Because if we emphasize inclusivity, that means that there are no adverbs such as or, but, if. It should be we, us, and can. So it's always, we should diminish these words, but, or, ifs, because it's an optional. It gives an optional statement. Like, you cannot achieve this if, or, yeah, he can do this, but, or, we can consider him, or we can consider the other way around. It should not be that way, because that doesn't promote inclusivity and acceptance as well. Because there's always a conditional or a condition point on everything that we think of, in terms of how we know the people, or how we would trust the person if they will be able, or what capabilities that they can do.
Okay, Juan de la Cruz, thank you very much for your time. It has been an eye-opening experience interviewing you. And thank you for your insights.
Thank you as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.